Oh, go live. Here we go. Needed to hit that one.
I didn't have time to write unit tests for my slideshow, so this is its first run.
Ooh.
Dangerous game.
Yes, we got YouTube.
Now it's live.
Perfect.
I want to see Joe Rogan your top result. Top trends, top three.
Alright, this is gonna get real crazy.
I think I can see the projectors better than your own screen.
All right.
Yeah.
So, thanks everybody for coming. So essentially what we're going to be doing here is a kickoff meeting for the bendjs /TAO/Visit Bend community technology project. And what we're going to be doing is building essentially a project that I'll get into here in a sec, but a community page, a community forum where we can share ideas, where you can connect with other members of the community who might not be part of BendJS, posting jobs, posting mentorship opportunities, having a community forum, something kind of like Reddit, but everything boiled down to this community, and trying to bring kind of what we've been doing over the last year is getting closer and closer to bringing the entire community together. We're shooting for, if anyone made it to our social night, we're shooting for once a quarter, doing those kind of big social nights with all the different groups, having some crossover events, kind of leading up to a conference that I've talked about a bunch for next year. So point of this project is another place or a single place where we can all kind of discuss whatever online. So community calendar, community forum, job postings, everything like that. We're doing this in conjunction, like I said, with the city. It was originally an idea that we had with the city of Bend. Then we got Visit Bend involved, and Terry has been very kind in helping us out and getting TAO involved. So like I said, I'll get into it a little bit more in a bit, but this project has the opportunity to be a big part of the technology community here. So there's a little mini hackathon to get us started. We'll go over more details here in a little while. But thanks for coming, and we're going to start off with Cody doing a little presentation on what Hacktoberfest is, how it got started, what the point is, why contribute to open source and community projects, and then I'll jump into the actual project, some details about it, some resources, and then the rest of the evening will just be probably breaking into groups at this point and just doing some hacking on the project and getting some stuff started, and at the end I'll be giving away some swag. That was very kindly donated by Dutchy. So, all right, Cody.
Alrighty. So I just kind of went through the Hacktoberfest website and just summarized it down real quick. Let's see here. So just going to go through the quick who, what, when, where, and why of Hacktoberfest 2019. It's presented by DigitalOcean and Dev. Then we've kind of got our own little thing going on here. But if you want to participate in the larger scheme of things, these are the guys that are running it every year. So who can participate? Obviously all you guys, friends, family, neighbors. As long as you have something to contribute to an open source repository, you can hop in and participate. And then they encourage all skill levels to help out. Let's see. So it may not even necessarily have to be programming. You might go and help out with like documentation on a project where you're like, wow, this is really bad, it could be better. Or there's an open issue. So just the whole what of this is to contribute back to the community by opening pull requests on GitHub that give positive contributions back to the open source repository you're working on. And then there's also additional resources on the website. There will be certain labels that you can search through and look for if you're like, I have no clue what I want to work on, or I want to see what projects are actually available to work on. The when of this, it starts at the beginning of October and goes all the way through till the end. Where you can do this, anywhere you program. You can do it right now. You can do it from your couch if you need to. And then it's for any open source repository on GitHub that counts as a contribution towards Hacktoberfest. Oh, why though? I guess that slide didn't save. So the why of this is just you get to boost your contribution on your GitHub profile, give back to something that maybe you've been using for a while. So maybe, dare I say, maybe you use jQuery, but maybe you should stop. Maybe you like some favorite library. It's probably open source, and you can definitely hop in and start helping out. Best thing you can do is to read if they have any documentation. They might have I think it's like contributions marked down that you can start reading. And they might have I think there's like code of conduct as well. So like, don't be aggressive. Maybe you need to document your stuff a certain way, open up pull requests a certain way. So if you want your pull request to be valid, that's what you'll have to do is follow those guidelines. Repository owners can go through and like start flagging pull requests as invalid, and then they won't count for Hacktoberfest. I don't know if they know about that or not, but there might be some big groups out there doing that. I think that's actually it on this. And then additional details, there's a link in here just to point over to the Hacktoberfest website. I don't know how many of you guys have actually been to the Hacktoberfest website yet. Raise of hands. So you guys are all ready, hyped up. Oh yeah, I don't remember if I mentioned this, but there's a limited edition t-shirt. First 50,000 that get their 4 valid pull requests in. You just click start hacking, OAuth your GitHub account with them, and they'll start watching. And then there's like a vesting period of like, I think 7 days before it either needs to get merged in, or if it gets past 7 days, it's valid, or the repo owner can just be like, nope, invalid, try again. And then they've got rules, kind of just like, don't just go submitting 4 pull requests for like white space changes. Like, it needs to have some type of value to it. Don't make a robot that takes all the shirts, that'd be bad. And then, yeah, then they just have, like, if you have no clue what you wanted to do, they have some down here. You can choose what language you'd like to go off of. The site's pretty straightforward and easy to use. They also have information if you're a repository owner or company and how you can get involved in this and getting people working on issues that you have. That's the quick and dirty for Hacktoberfest. Are there any questions about it? I may or may not know the answer, but.
Is the bendjs website listed as a
Yes, we put it in, and every issue on here is going to be labeled Hacktoberfest on GitHub, so they can track it. So yes, if you contribute here, you will get points towards getting the t-shirt. Might be a little more difficult to get 4 contributions because we're going to track things a little bit different. We don't have a huge code base, obviously, with a bunch of kind of little issues that you can just kind of pick off one by one. Some of the issues are going to be a little bit bigger, so we're actually going to do it slightly different, which I'll get into, but we're going to do it by story points. So the size of the issue is going to count towards our custom bendjs Hacktoberfest swag that we're going to give away at the end of the month. But anything that you do and any pull requests you make will actually count towards this. So
there's a kickoff. Is there closing?
So we're going to do our normal meetup October 22nd. That'll be coming out shortly. It'll be a wrap up and a little bit more talk about open source, just probably from a higher level perspective, maybe that 10,000 foot level of maybe probably closer to open source as a general community. You know, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, over the last couple of years about people getting paid. You know, NPM has tried to do a couple things with payments and contributing and donating to people who run all those libraries that run, every piece of software on NPM that no one actually knows about. And there's a lot of importance that goes into maintaining those libraries and making sure that the people who maintain them have some kind of benefit to doing it, so they stay and don't break every piece of software on the internet. So probably do something a little bit higher level during that meeting. And then just for everyone's heads up, November is going to be AWS month. So I think we're getting Ryan Comandeer, who works for, he's the CTO for 5Talent and runs the AWS meetup. He's going to come over and give a talk for us on AWS and setting up different things, and kind of bringing it into the web world. But that should be really interesting. And then December, we're doing another social night. So December 10th, hopefully before everyone goes out of town, we're going to do something where we get all the meetups together again. Last time in August, we had about 80 people, shooting for over 100 this time. But once a quarter, given a chance to just get together with everybody who you don't see on a once monthly basis or don't necessarily see on our Slack channel, and being able to just talk to other people in different meetups and different parts of the community. All right. So, our project for this month, the Bend community site. So what the project is, so we partner, like I said, with Bend, TAO, and Visit Bend to bring kind of this first ever attempt at a Hacktoberfest, kind of a local community Hacktoberfest for Bend. The purpose of this project is to provide that community page that can be that single hub for all things tech here. It'll be the perfect initial point of contact for anyone new to the area, kind of looking to jump in, or even, like I said, for people from different meetups and different groups and different companies to be able to connect with all of you guys and make sure that we can all share ideas and look for jobs and just be more involved in the greater technology community as a whole, as opposed to each staying in our little silos. So our goal here is to provide that comprehensive community calendar, some kind of forum, job postings page, and anything else that we can dream up. As you'll see through the course of what I'm going to talk about, because we're not a big organization, we don't have a big existing code base, a lot of what we're going to be doing for this project is going to come from you. Not just from us creating issues, but from you coming up with, hey, what do you think should be on this? Pitch us an idea. We'll create the issue, we'll make sure it gets counted, we'll make sure you get swag for it, but if you don't see something on here, that does not mean that it can't be a part of this project. So we want those ideas. Consider this project yours. The point of this project is to bring the community together. So in order for that to happen, we need that community involvement. So this project, we take ownership of it. And anything that you want to see, anything that you think will be of value to the community as a whole, we want to put it in. We're definitely not trying to be the CEOs of anything. This is a community, and that's the whole point of it. So when this project is completed, we'll be working with TAO and Visit Bend to integrate it into their existing infrastructure. So potentially on the TAO website, they're going through a redesign right now, but once that's done, maybe integrating into their site. We've also been talking to Visit Bend about a couple projects. Again, big companies, so they move a little slower, but integrating it into what they already have going, because they have kind of a massive SEO infrastructure already set up, so they get a ton of views. And just giving us that ability to really utilize existing infrastructure and kind of leverage what these groups already have to make sure that this community can have the widest impact. So thanks for being a part of this, and let's dive in. So mainly this is going to be based off modules. This is kind of as far as we are going to go with really giving strong direction. It's just some basic ideas about what could be on there. So we're going to have the main page. Obviously, it's going to be some kind of home page, maybe for each of the different modules, maybe a top level. So top couple job listings, top couple things in the forum, maybe a brief view of the calendar, but then you'll be able to click in and go dive into each of these modules, and they'll have their own functionality. And that way you can kind of take ownership of a module and dive in deep in functionality, and we can separate that into subtasks, or you can bounce around and kind of do a task here, a task there, add a little functionality to wherever you see fit. So the community calendar, that's going to be a big one. The community forum, another really big aspect of it that we want to make sure we get in there. Job postings, we've had a lot of requests, not just from you guys, but also from businesses saying, we have a lot of job openings, we need good developers. If anyone's looking for a job, they want to make sure to get it out there. So that'll be really important. An idea that, based on a conversation I had, was mentorship opportunities. So we do have a lot of junior devs, a lot of great potential developers coming out of the computer science program here and some of the other internship and training programs. And we also have a lot of people who have started businesses and sold businesses and been involved in programming for 20 plus years. And there's a good opportunity there if you want to give back to the community to provide mentorship opportunities, or someone looking for a mentorship opportunity to have someone who might take them under their wing and every once in a while just give them some free advice. So thinking that could be something we could put on that page for people to offer mentorship and looking for mentorship. But as you can see, all these ideas are just ways for people to connect. So if you have an idea that you don't see up here, such as a Ben Tech dating site, throw it up there. Like I said, your imagination is kind of the ceiling here. So like I said, half joking, but if someone wanted to build it, absolutely count. Would love to see what you could come up with. But anything that you can come up with, anything that you want to see in terms of bringing the community together, that's what we want. So getting into today, what I was hoping we could do, because like I said, this is just essentially it's a blank slate. We have an idea for what we want to do. We have some basic modules and some things that we want to work on, but we're going to really rely on the community to get started. So some of the initial tasks that we need to get done to be able to have all these individual tasks for the rest of the community who couldn't be here tonight to jump into are here. So styling strategy, opportunity to go in and do some kind of UI framework, either bring something in that we can customize and just kind of make sure it's all set up properly, or roll your own. Most projects I jump on, I kind of roll my own with styled components or something and have my own little UI library that I like to share throughout my code base. So if someone wants to jump on that, that would be awesome. We need a site design. Honestly, I am not a designer. I make people's eyes bleed when I show them what I designed, so I didn't work on anything here. If anyone has that talent for design or wants to work on it, that's going to be a task, and that's going to be a fairly big one. So we don't need a pixel perfect design or anything like that, but some basic concepts, some basic UX in terms of workflow, and just really getting the foundations in place for what this site kind of should look like and what we should aim for. Again, we're going to have a lot of developers with not much direction, so we're not going to try to pigeonhole you into a very, very specific thing, but some basic direction in terms of site design would be great. So if you either want to jump on that or you know anyone who would be really handy in working something out, that would be awesome. Content management is going to be really big because of the forum aspect, the community calendar, being able to post job listings, and yada yada. So whoever wants to jump into that, we could go with an EC2 and a full database setup and everything like that, or doing a headless CMS and something like Craft, Sandy, Contentful, even WordPress. So that's going to be one of those top level things that we want to set up because it's going to kind of spread to all the other features and functionality that we want to build throughout the month. A testing strategy and framework, so getting the actual packages in there, maybe setting up some kind of CI process, doing logging, bringing in plugins, whatever that looks like. Anyone's really passionate about testing, want to jump on that, awesome. And then I know a couple people offered to work on some accessibility. Actually, the Bend WordPress meetup does a lot with accessibility, so we might get them involved. But if anyone's passionate about that, I do not see, forgot his name, from last month who did the accessibility shop. He wanted to get involved in this. So there are some people who really get passionate about that. So if you want to jump into that, that would be awesome. And then one thing I didn't put on here is documentation. That's going to be something I'm working fairly hard on tonight and making sure that we can keep up with the documentation as new features are added and as people want to be able to jump into the code base. because I'm guessing this isn't just going to be a 1 month long project. It's going to need to continue, maybe not as heavily as we do during Hacktoberfest, but we'll definitely want some documentation for that. So part of this top level initial task, like I said, is what I'm hoping for is after this, when we get to the hackathon piece, which will be here in a couple minutes, we can break into some groups and kind of go after a few of these different pieces. Like I said, I have some swag to give away for groups that kind of hit those benchmarks or want to actually push through and get something pushed onto the site, because these are going to be those initial tasks, like I said, that kind of lead to all the other functionality and all the other tasks that are going to be needed for the rest of this project to move forward. So I'm hoping we can kind of split some of this stuff up. If there's anything up here that you think we need right at the beginning that you don't see or that you really want to work on, you say, screw all this, I don't like any of that, I just want to start building the calendar, awesome. But if possible, if anyone wants to jump on any of these and do that, that can be the focus tonight. We get those started, and then we're going to keep pumping out smaller and smaller tasks based on the work that we do tonight, and then you can kind of move on to whatever you want after that. That would be awesome and super helpful. So a few notes to keep in mind while we're going through this. You can use any tech that you want. The site is built using Create React App. Easiest way to kind of just set up, and since I was doing the setup, and I like React, that's what we went with. But you can use other web tech with this project. If you want to build a full calendar module in Vue and just bring it in and inject it in the page, absolutely, go for it. I'd love to see that. That would actually be really cool because it's something I've never done. I don't know if anyone ever has, so anybody in this room. Obviously somebody has, because I'm sure there's some tools that make that a little bit easier. But if anyone wants to make that happen, that would be awesome. If anyone wants to use Svelte or WebAssembly, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to work with, if you've been eyeing some kind of technology and this is just a perfect excuse to dive in and make something happen with it and get a hoodie in the process, awesome. Make it happen. We don't care. We'll inject it into the site. We just want everyone to feel like they can contribute in any way. If you have an idea that is not an issue already, create one. Go ahead, create one. We'll label it Hacktoberfest to make sure that we're getting credit for it. And work with us. Reach out to me. I'm always on Slack. I'm literally always available. I'm just at Kyle. And we can work together to create, maybe it's a big task and we break off a bunch of subtasks, or maybe it's something that you just had an idea about and you wanted to flesh something out. And talk to me about it. Absolutely. Like I said, this is really the sky's the limit with your imagination and what we can do here. So just to make sure that you get credit for it, get credit for the full Hacktoberfest, and then also for what we're doing, just reach out to me. Let me know you're doing this. We'll add some story points on there, and we'll go from there. If you create a module or a new kind of top-level piece of functionality, this kind of goes back to what I was saying, but let us know so we can work together. We can create those subtasks, and we can work on what the rest of the project, so other people can get involved in what you're doing. So if you're really working on that top level thing and you want to create this big piece of functionality, you set up the scaffolding, everything like that, then talk to me and we can work on kind of what comes after that. So instead of number of contributions, like we said, we're going to be working off story points. And the main reason for this is it was just getting way too crazy in my head to try to come up with 200 different tasks to make sure, if no one ran out of, if we had 20 people working on it, and for Hacktoberfest to get the shirt, you have to do 4 contributions. Well, if we had 20 people who were working on it throughout the month, that's 80 individual tasks already. And I just couldn't think that big about this project. So what we're going to be working off is story points. So as of now, the point system is kind of going to go as follows. I haven't added points to any of the individual issues yet, but that will be coming soon. I didn't have quite as much time the last couple days to work on this, unfortunately, as I was hoping. So that's going to be something I'm actually working on tonight while everyone else is kind of hacking around. But as of now, 8 points, you get a hoodie. 6 points, you get a shirt. 4 points, you get a hat. 2 points, you get a sticker. And as you go up from there, you just we'll just start throwing stuff at you. So, I'm sure someone will offer you a job if you have 20 points on there or something. That would be really awesome. But we are going to have custom designed Bend Hacktoberfest logo designed gear. We actually have a couple sponsors who have offered to hook us up with that, which is going to be really awesome. And we'll have more details on that later. We're going to do it kind of the same way as Hacktoberfest. We're going to wait till the very end. Once all the points are added up, we'll see who all contributed, and we'll be kind of keeping a running tally. And then we'll just add them up. We're going to go throw in a big order, and everyone will get their stuff sometime in November. And then links and resources, the GitHub. Everything's under our bendjs GitHub repo. This one's going to be a Bend community site. And then I created a couple links just to make it easier. We have the bendjs-YouTube and then bendjs-slack from bit.ly. Like I said, the Hacktoberfest channel just created so we can have discussions. We can throw ideas back and forth. If anyone wants to dive into this and just say, this would be awesome for that site, throw it in there. And that's where we can kind of start discussions. And like I said, you can DM me anytime you want. bendjs.com for the Slack invite, for our Gmail if you forget any of this stuff, and we're continuing to work on that site kind of parallel to this as well. This next one is, I just wanted to throw something on here for if you don't know how to create like an NPM module. So like I was talking about, if you wanted to create some random module in Vue that you want to inject, we can do it locally, and we can do that, but maybe you create this whole other thing and we want to inject it into the site. And you just, create something that you can share with the wider community. So there's some info there, and there's a bunch of other stuff online depending on what language. I was kind of keeping this language agnostic, or framework agnostic at least, for creating an NPM module, publishing it to NPM, and doing kind of having something out there in the wild. And then finally, our email address will kind of reach all of us admins at any time. Obviously, if you're in the Slack channel, that's the quickest way. Like I said, I have it on my phone. I'm on there all the time. But yeah, if you want to send an email, that's our email address. So that is going to be part of the logo, the Hacktober with the Bend as the O and the wolf. Don't ask me how that ended up coming together. That was a weird conversation, but just, finally, as always, a big thing to kind of our sponsors who've kind of stuck with us. And we got a couple new sponsors this month with the Technology Association of Oregon, who hooked us up with this room and all the booze this month. And then obviously CBT Nuggets, who literally every time we get together gets us pizza and makes sure all of us are well fed and, actually want to be here for 2 hours. So always giving it up for them. Dutchy did the swag for this and also pledged some money for the swag at the end of the month, the hoodies and hats and shirts and all that. So huge thanks to them for kind of getting involved, and always CodePen just kind of been longest overall sponsor and just support crew with Chris. So wanted to make sure we get that shout out because this doesn't happen without all of them. All right, now let's get to the actual fun stuff. I think there is still some pizza back there. There's a bunch of beers and everything. But to start out, this is the projects tab of the Bend.js site. So we created a project, basic Kanban board, that's going to have all this information on here. So as of now, we have a backlog where I just threw some random stuff. I'm still got to turn these into issues. I actually thought of one more. Subscription to calendar. So I'm really just throwing a lot of stuff up on the wall. Like I said, we want your input and we want your ideas and to make this project really great. Not just going to rely on us because then who knows what we'll get. But these to-dos are going to be the first step. This is what we kind of need right away. This is going to be the first step in making sure we can do all of this, all the randomness that's going to come after. So create a basic forum setup. Something like Reddit, we want to get the structure in place. Documentation, that's actually what I'll be working on today. Overall help direction with this project. So for all of you watching online, like 4 people, and hopefully more people watching later, and all you guys, just going to say it again. We want help. We want the community involved, not just with building it, but also coming up with these ideas, coming up with what we need to do. Any direction you can give. I don't have a hell of a lot of experience with the open source community, and just like, putting an open source project out there for other people to contribute on. So I'm sure I made a ton of mistakes. I don't know how much experience everyone else has. So if you have experience either doing a lot of contributing or building an open source project that you have other people contribute to, in terms of the documentation that we need, how I write and explain issues, just how we do the setup, some of the ideas, any help that you can give, want to hear from you. Oh, I'll try not to say that because I know I've said it like 12 times, but yeah, we want you involved. Set up basic calendar feature, again, like the forum, bringing some kind of calendar feature in that we can pump data into, that we can put other functionality in, but we need that initial setup there. Testing, like we talked about earlier, if anyone wants to take the lead on testing, that would be awesome, just so it, whole app doesn't crash randomly every once in a while. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but that would be cool. Content management, that's going to be a really big one because it's going to drive a lot of what we do. So that's definitely something if we get a few people to jump on that tonight and really kind of take the lead in figuring out what we want to use and how we want to use it, because it's going to go through the whole app.
So Kyle, kind of dovetailing on that, in terms of some of those high-level decisions, I'm assuming that some of those things need their dependencies, right? Some of these need to be decided before people start hacking on some other low-level items.
Yes. So in a way, yes. In a way, kinda. Yes, they're going to require some different dependencies and everything like that. So if there are dependencies such as using a CMS and signing up for and thank you for bringing that up because I was going to get to that, but signing up, let's say we wanted to use Contentful or something like that. Obviously, we want to try to do everything for free. We don't make any money doing this. This is all for fun. So we're going to look for something with a good free plan that still provides a lot of the functionality that we want. But if we need to sign up for that, just let me know. I'll be here all night, and then I'm always online, like I said. So just hit me up and like, hey, we really need this. We need an account here. I'll go on right away, sign up for bendjs, and give you creds. And that way you can get in there and play around and do whatever with it. And that way we can just get anything set up fairly quickly. The only place that's going to be a little tricky is if we start messing around with AWS stuff, which we do have a Bend AWS account. I'll just have to, if anyone wants to jump in and do that, we'll have to talk a little bit more. It might be a matter of you setting up your own kind of test instance and doing some stuff and then pushing the code and then working with me to, hey, when we go live, we'll just switch over from yours to ours. And that way we can, in the live site, obviously it'll be under Bend.js, but anything else, like I said, anything with like a free stack or kind of implementing some of this stuff, just let me know. I'll come sign up for something under Bend.js real quick and then give you access to it. And from there, just make PRs. You come up with something, and like I said, even with something else, if you, for some reason you can't get in touch with me, create your own free account, set it up, create the setup, and then we'll go back later and switch it over for the live site for Bend.js, and that way it's all in one unified place. But not everything is going to get pulled in. Hoping as much as possible is going to get pulled in, but it doesn't hurt to put something out there and say, hey, this is what I came up with, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be on the site, what do you think? And then we can have a discussion and go from there. So yeah, that's a very good question and something we can keep an eye on, and like I said, just come talk to me. And finally, the website design. If anyone wants to take a swing at that or knows someone who might be good that we could convince to take a swing at that, that would be awesome. And there's some descriptions and everything in here. So for now, let's do this. So let me get these weird ones out of the way. Does anyone feel like doing some website design right now? That's what I thought. Oh. Better than I was expecting. All right. So yeah, if you want to get started on kind of just throwing some stuff together, and if you get bored with it, feel free to jump with one of the other groups. Because I know we came for a hackathon, and then I started asking you to design stuff, and yeah, don't get mad at me. We have to have it, but so if you want to start on that, that's awesome. I'm going to be doing documentation, so wherever I am, if anyone wants to jump into the wild and crazy world of docs, come find me. Then we have testing. Anyone super passionate about testing? All right. Don't feel obligated. I don't do as much testing as I should either. But you saw who was involved with testing. We're going to rally around Cody. He's going to set up the testing environment, so anyone wants to do that. And then the three big ones are going to be content management, calendar, and forum. Now, like I said, if you have a different idea in mind, after I'm done naming off these three, tell me what your idea is, and then you can break off in your own groups or go by yourself, or do whatever you want to do. This is supposed to be fun and a hackathon, and work on whatever you want. But do we have anyone who wants to work on kind of content management and figuring out what system and maybe a couple like data structures for what the forum and calendar events and stuff are going to look like? Anyone like data that much? No, not really. Data?
Yep.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I guess this goes to website design, but tying this all together and allowing people to post and stuff like that. Do you have an off strategy in mind?
Yes. No, actually. I don't have an off strategy. That was something that we definitely thought about. And the biggest place we're going to have to think about that is in terms of the content management. And I think in that case, we're going to play it by ear depending on what we actually use. So something like Craft CMS is completely local. They don't have a hosted service, so definitely going to have to deal with auth there to make sure only certain people can access the back end. If we use a hosted service, then it becomes a little less complicated because that's going to be really the only thing that we're going to need to restrict at least some access to and make sure some bots not spamming the event page or anything that people can post to, like job postings or anything like that, because some of it will be open, but we do need the ability to go in and delete certain stuff if anything's inappropriate or whatever.
On the kind of forum side, you want to do some moderation, and will that involve some sort of basic login?
As of now, well, I don't know. That'll kind of be. It is. It's definitely something good to think about. It's a matter of, do you think we need to think about that right away? Is that something that has to be a decision made now, or could we start with getting the framework up and then add some kind of user system later, where if we start anonymously or just someone putting their name in and then writing their message, so technically they could put in anything, if that gets out of control, is it too late to implement something like that? So we can actually get the framework and everything up now. But if that's something that's better thought of for the now, in your opinion, because it's whoever's going to be working on this, want to take your expertise and go with it. So, depending on kind of the way you feel, if that's something that we want to work on right away and someone wants to jump into that auth process, absolutely have at it. My personal opinion, maybe getting some of the functionality up and at least the structure and everything, so then that's a piece of functionality we can slap on later, or that can become a subtask. But yeah, go with whatever you want. But if we do a hosted service, like I said, if you find something that's hosted, free account, I'll come set it up, give you access since you're working on it or whoever else is working on it. And that way we can test and go through and get everything set up and then kind of make decisions from there. And then, okay, so we got content management, and then we have calendar and forum. So anyone super into calendars? Yes. Okay, we got one. Anyone want to jump in the calendar? Perfect. So you two get together, do a calendar, and then final one that I came up with is forum. So working on kind of a Reddit-like forum feature, different pages, different routing. One thing we're going to have to think about there is how can individuals create different pages if we don't have the theme or the topic that they want to talk about. getting a lot of that structure in place. That's going to be a big one for today. So anyone, hands up for that? All right, so everyone who didn't raise their hands for any of these ideas, what do you want to work on? Work there? Yeah. Do the UI? Oh, you know what? That's a good point. I actually meant to move that over. I think the one reason I didn't put that over there was doing the website design kind of first, but at the same, if you want to work with him, and then you guys can kind of work in tandem. And then honestly, for a UI framework, if you do a lot of the generic stuff first without any custom designing, you can get a lot of that done, even before we have the design. And again, the design doesn't need to be some pixel perfect thing. It's guidelines. Perfect. All right, so let me add this one to the design. Design, UI, kind of that whole piece of it. Who wants to be involved in that? All right, so you guys get together, find a spot to kind of work on that. So anyone else who didn't raise their hand, what do you want to work on?
I just have like a quick question. Something that's interesting to me is like data analysis and also data visualization.
Oh,
So I'm curious if that's something you could like tie in the CMS or some kind of.
absolutely. That would be awesome.
I'd be really into like just checking that out and if I'll put it on.
Absolutely. Hopefully we're going to be getting lots of data. So yeah, doing something with the data and maybe showing trends in the community or something.
Right, yeah.
That would be awesome.
So especially if it's gonna like boost our engagement.
Perfect. Anyone else? What are you working on? Sweet. Anyone else want to throw out ideas? All right, well, that's the end of this portion. We got about 55 minutes left. Kind of know who was working on what. And if you're wandering, feel free to bounce around and, jump on something. Yeah.
For contributing, are we going to be doing like a standard 4-3 web?
Yeah.
Work on our own branch and submit pull requests?
Yes. Yeah. So not in the documentation yet, but like I said, while you're doing that, I'm going to be hacking away on the documentation and making sure it's all very clear. So for the people in the room, yeah, very standard port pull request. Work on your own thing, pull request back in. We'll attach it to an issue, and then make sure you get credit for the pull request. Let me check real quick. Work on your own thing. Super, going to be super meta right now. Attach it to an issue. Okay, no questions. So we are going to call this a day.